One line, 4 words. Type it, and something lands on your disk that you will never open. Tens of megabytes for the bare package. Half a gigabyte once it's built against Intel's MKL instead of the slim library it ships with. That's most Conda installs. Gigabytes once the rest of the numeric stack arrives and drags CUDA wheels behind it. You think you're writing Python. You're writing instructions for something else. Now multiply 2 lists of numbers. That multiplication doesn't run in Python. It leaves Python entirely. Down through compiled libraries written before you were hired, some of them in Fortran, code that has been shipping since the 70s. The obvious answer is that this is fine. It's abstraction. Every language sits on something older. Except abstraction is supposed to be a floor you can stand on. This one is a floor you fall through the moment you step somewhere it wasn't built for. And when you fall, the language you love goes from the fastest thing in the room to 100 times slower than the code sitting one floor down. There's a name for that. And there's a man who quit the biggest companies on earth twice to try to kill it. Keep going down. This is the stack that every fast thing in Python is standing on. Floor 1, Python, what you type. Floor 2, NumPy, mostly C, with a thin Python jacket so it looks like it belongs. Then it gets old. Floor 3, BLAS and LAPACK, interfaces written in 1979 and 1992 that have barely moved since, though what runs on your machine is OpenBLAS or MKL, Modern Assembly, still actively tuned. Floor 4, raw C and Fortran. Floor 5, CUDA, which shows up the moment there's a GPU in play. PyTorch, QP, JAX, and at the bottom, the floor almost nobody can name, PTX. Instructions for the graphics card that nobody writes by hand. You wrote the top floor. Everything that makes it fast, you inherited. None of this is a criticism of NumPy. It's one of the great engineering achievements of modern computing. The problem isn't the C, it's the seam. 3 things break at that seam. First, you can't step debug downward. Set a breakpoint, step into the multiplication, and your debugger stops at the edge of the C boundary like a dog at an invisible fence. Not impossible, just not with the tools you already know. Second, your Python profiler doesn't see in there either. It'll tell you the operation took 400 milliseconds. It will not tell you why, because the why happened in a language your tooling doesn't speak. Native profilers will. That's another tool in another afternoon. Third, and this is the one that costs money. If your operation has a pre-written C implementation, you're fast. If it doesn't, you fall back to a Python loop, and performance doesn't degrade. It collapses. 2 orders of magnitude apart depending on whether somebody, years ago, happened to write a kernel for your exact use case. That's the 2-language problem. You prototype in the fast-to-write language, and anything that needs to be fast gets rewritten in the hard one, by somebody else, years earlier, and you inherit their guesses about what you'd need. The man from the hook spent 20 years standing at the bottom of towers like this one. Hold that thought. Now, the reasonable pushback. Numba exists. Cython exists. JAX, Taichi, Triton, and they're good. Numba will JIT a numeric loop and hand you real speed for the price of a decorator, until you hand it a dictionary with mixed value types, or call a library function it doesn't recognize. Then it stops. It used to fall back to the slow path instead, and that silent downgrade confused people so badly the fallback got deprecated. Now you get a compile error, more honest. Just as blocking, there is a set of ordinary Python things the fast path will not take. Cython adds a dialect that is neither Python nor C. PyPy made Python itself fast, and then spent a decade fighting the C extensions. It hit this same wall from the other side. Every one of these tools is a rope bridge across the gap. Nobody was filling the gap in. They were getting better at crossing it. Which brings us to the person with the strangest resume in this story. Chris Lattner co-created LLVM, the compiler infrastructure that quietly sits under Swift, Rust, Julia, Clang, and a large slice of everything else compiled in the last 20 years. He built Swift at Apple. He spent a stint leading autopilot software at Tesla. He ran TensorFlow infrastructure at Google. And right before Modular, he spent 2 years at a chip company, Sci5, working on the silicon that runs RISC-V. Read that list again and notice the pattern. Every one of those jobs was the same job, standing at the bottom of somebody's tower, holding it up. The last one wasn't even the compiler. It was the floor underneath the compiler. So he had a better view than almost anyone of what machine learning actually runs on. Not the papers, the plumbing, a field that had converged on Python as its interface and hand-tuned native code as its engine. And the join between those two was where all the pain lived. He left. In 2022, he co-founded Modular, and the thesis was blunt. The industry doesn't need a better bridge. It needs to stop needing one. So, Mojo. The pitch is a single sentence, a language that feels like Python and compiles like C. Not Python calling C, not Python compiled with an asterisk. One language, one file, top of the tower to the bottom, same syntax the whole way down. Concretely, that means you write the loop that would have been unacceptably slow in Python, and it compiles. You add static types where you need them and stay dynamic where you don't. That's not calling into anything. There is no C underneath that loop waiting to do the real work. That is the real work. If this kind of breakdown is useful, you can support the channel on Patreon. And Mojo's own compiler stack sits on MLIR, Lattner's other project. So he's building the top of the tower with the tool he built for the bottom of it. The man is trying to close a loop he started 20 years ago. Now, if you've heard of Mojo at all, you've heard one thing about it. 35,000 times faster than Python. That number is everywhere. Conference slides, thread after thread, headlines that stopped reading right after the digits. Repeated so many times it stopped being a measurement and started being a slogan. And it's not made up. Modular published it and they published the conditions with it. That's the uncomfortable part. The conditions were sitting in public the whole time. And almost nobody who repeated the number ever went and got them. The hole isn't in the benchmark, it's in us. Sit with the sentence because it's built strangely. 35,000 times faster than Python. Faster than which Python? Doing what? Compiled how? Measured on what hardware? Against what baseline? With what turned on and what turned off? A speed-up number is a ratio. A ratio has two sides. And in almost every place that number gets quoted, only one side of it shows up. That's not an accusation. Every benchmark has conditions. The question is only ever whether they travel with the number or get left behind at the door. This one got left behind, and what's on the other side of that ratio changes the story more than most people would guess. I'm not going to open it here. It deserves its own hour, and it gets one. So where does Mojo actually stand today? Mojo reached 1.0 beta, and the most recent release in that line, version 26.3, May 7th, 2026, tells you where the language's head is at. Safe closures landed, which is a memory safety story, not a syntax story. And tile tensor landed, tiling data for the memory hierarchy. The thing that separates code that technically uses your GPU from code that actually feeds it. Those are not beginner-friendly features. They're the features you build when your users are writing kernels, which tells you who Mojo is for right now. And it isn't the person writing a pandas script on Tuesday afternoon. One piece of housekeeping the marketing tends to skip. FN is deprecated as of 26.2, the language consolidated on def. Read that direction carefully. It's the fast language simplifying itself toward Python, not the other way around. If you're reading a tutorial from last year, you're reading a different language. And the honest part, 1.0 final is not out. The target is fall of 2026. Mojo is not fully open source. It does not replace Python in production anywhere that matters yet. And the ecosystem, the thousands of libraries that made Python inevitable, does not exist for it. So this is a promise with a timeline, not a fact on the ground, which is roughly where Rust sat before it hit 1.0 in 2015, a young language with serious backing and almost nothing shipping on it yet. Sometimes that ends in a language everyone uses. Sometimes it ends in a very good idea with a Wikipedia page. But the crack it's aiming at is real. Every day, millions of people write a line of Python and hand-controlled a code they've never read in a language they didn't choose, compiled by someone who left the company in 2011. That has been the arrangement for 30 years, and we stopped calling it a compromise. We started calling it the standard library, which leaves the number. 35,000 times. It's real. It's published. It's reproducible. And almost nobody who repeats it can tell you what sits on the other side of that ratio, what code was compared, what the baseline had switched off, and what happens to that advantage the moment you start measuring against something that was already fast. Because there's a version of this comparison where Mojo looks like a miracle, and there's a version where it looks like a very good compiler doing what good compilers do. Both versions come from the same benchmark. I take it apart completely in the next one. Mojo's famous 35,000 times faster than Python claim is true. Here's what they don't tell you. The claim survives. What doesn't survive is the way everyone tells it.